a full chapter from start to finish. Produced by Ryan. Sure to be a masterpiece. The exciting story begins now. I am the white moonlight of the female CEO, yet she eventually fell in love with my substitute. Watching one transmigrator after another, each equipped with their own system, trying to use my identity to conquer the female CEO. But they all end up in total defeat. Crushed by the substitute male's hands. Damn it. Let me show you the correct way to handle white moonlight. My name is Jibata. I am the white moonlight in the female CEO's romantic novel. The female lead, Liu Ryan, and I were childhood sweethearts. We had a marriage agreement from the start, but accidents come unexpectedly. Liu Ryan had somehow offended someone. Last year, she came to celebrate my birthday for me. The two of us planned to drive to the mountaintop to watch the stars, but we were attacked by him. At that moment, I instinctively protected her. Liu Ryan suffered only minor injuries. While I ended up in a vegetative state, not quite dead, my soul has been drifting in the hospital room. At first, she was also deeply regretful and in pain. She stayed by my side at the hospital every day, hoping for my awakening, swearing she would give up everything to stay with me until the end. Probably about 3 months later, she met a boy named Guden, a man who bore a 5-point resemblance to me. As their feelings deepened, she visited the hospital less and less. I tried numerous times to return to my body, but I failed. Suddenly, one day, a soul snatched my body ahead of me and woke up. I was bewildered. I heard her talking to the system. This task is too easy. A white moonlight strategy to conquer the female lead. Isn't that like holding a gun in hand? I got interested. Decided to follow her along to see exactly what kind of tricks she would pull. The strategist, using my body, clashed with the substitute male with wit and courage, trying to win back the female lead's heart. At first, Liu Ryan still considered our years of friendship and her debt of gratitude for saving her. She made many attempts to protect the strategist, but the balance of her emotions always leaned toward the substitute male. The strategist was losing ground step by step. The more she lost, the more unwilling she became. Thus began her journey of courting death. She exhausted the few feelings. The female lead had left for the white moonlight. The mission failed. Time rewound. I returned to the starting point of the plot. Watching one strategist after another with a system revive in my body. They tried all kinds of methods to defeat the substitute, to win the love of Liu Ryan, the female lead. Without exception, they all ended in utter defeat. Before dying, each strategist asked the strategy system unwillingly, "Why even as the white moonlight? Can't I win against the substitute?" Of course, they didn't understand. Being the white moonlight, lowering oneself to compete with a substitute was already a loss. The beauty of the white moonlight lies in the fact that the female lead wants it but cannot have it. After many consecutive failures, the system finally noticed me. It asked if I was willing to try. As long as I successfully conquer Liu Ryan, it would resurrect me and even fulfill a wish for me. Initially, I didn't care whether I was resurrected or not, but there was someone I couldn't let go of. My grandmother, who suffers from Alzheimer's disease. I wanted her to be healthy again, to live out her remaining years in peace. I accepted the mission, becoming the 66th strategist. This time, I would successfully resurrect. Liu Ryan received the notice from the hospital and quickly rushed to see me. I'm very familiar with this routine, but I don't follow the usual playbook. I looked at her in confusion and asked, "Who are you?" Liu Ryan was stunned for less than 3 seconds before she secretly let out a sigh of relief and then smiled as if nothing had happened. Your colleague Liu Ryan, how are you? Fiancé turned colleague, huh? Well, not wrong. We are indeed partners. Who co-founded today's trillion-dollar Shanghai technology group? I didn't question her. Why the hospital called a colleague instead of my family? I just politely and sincerely thanked her. That was really too much trouble for you. To come to the hospital just to see me. She looked slightly embarrassed, lacking even the courage to meet my eyes. Then her phone rang. I saw the name Guden flashing on the screen. I pretended not to care and looked away. Liu Ryan hesitated for a moment. But the phone kept ringing. And the noise irritated me. Mr. G, aren't you going to answer your phone? Liu Ryan hung up the call and apologized with a hint of regret. Sorry, I originally came to visit you, but there are still many things at the company. Without waiting for my response, she turned around and left. What could be so urgent? Don't cry. I'll be there soon. Her anxious and distressed voice echoed in the hallway. The system cursed angrily. What are you doing? Why are you pretending? To have amnesia? Now she has even more reason not to want you. Do you still want to complete the mission or not? I rolled my eyes at the ball of light in the void. What do you know anyway? Watch carefully how to handle white moonlight the right way. I stayed in the hospital for 2 months, nursed myself back to radiant health before being discharged. When I returned to the company, I found my office had been renovated. The original princess-themed decor had turned into a cold, austere style, all for Guden's taste. I wasn't surprised. I'd seen the same scene 65 times. Just as I was about to call someone to help, Liu Ryan and Guden pushed the door open and came in. The moment Guden saw me, his face turned red, and he looked at Liu Ryan with tearful eyes. Who is she? Why pretend? Weren't you secretly visiting me at the hospital? He even pointed at my face and said, I'm not as handsome as her. Nonsense. You try being in a coma for a year and a half and see if you still look handsome. Liu Ryan stared at me, lost, unable to respond for a long time. I guessed her coldness toward me at the hospital last time must have been because I had just woken up with a pale, sickly face. That didn't exactly spark her interest. This world that judges by appearances. The system, however, screamed excitedly. It's increasing. The love value has already risen to 507. Host, keep going. What's so great about reaching 50? Even if it's 1,000, I wouldn't care. I curled my lips disdainfully and asked her, has the vice president of the group been replaced? Liu Ryan saw me looking lively, knowing for sure that I had definitely recovered my memory. She probably remembered what she said to me last time at the hospital. For a moment, she didn't know how to start the conversation again. At this moment, the other two partners appeared. The third and fourth female leads of this book made their entrance. The second female lead, Gu Qing, pretended to approach me warmly, giving me a brief hug. You finally came back, she said. The third female lead, Shen Xiaomo, also waved at me. Welcome back. Looking at their fake smiles, I couldn't help but find it amusing. Welcome back. Then why haven't I seen a shadow of you three for the past 2 months? Not to mention Liu Ryan. Gu Qing and Shen Xiaomo were my university classmates. They clearly had no sense of friendship at all. Liu Ryan finally adjusted herself. Smiling at me, she said, the position of vice president in the company has always been reserved for you. Except for you, no one else is qualified to sit in this position. Oh, how nice that sounds. Even my office was given to Gudan, and my favorite potted pine bonsai is missing. Fortunately, I have long seen through them. So I am not angry enough to suffer a stroke. I remember that those who strategized immediately asked Liu Ryan to restore the office to its original state. Restoration is restoration. But when Gu Dan dropped a few small pearls, it made the three of them feel distressed. They didn't say it out loud, but they secretly accused me of being too domineering and unreasonable, deliberately bullying Gu Dan. I smiled slightly. Well, if you're going to bully to the fullest, I dialed a number. Immediately bring a construction team to the 18th floor. Yes. Right now. The construction team I had contacted in advance arrived quickly. I pointed at the office and ordered, demolish it. Everyone looked at me in shock. Liu Ryan immediately grabbed my wrist and asked, "What are you doing?" "Can't I renovate?" I replied, looking at her with a cold gaze. The green tea guy couldn't take it anymore, rushing in, shouting, "What right do you have to demolish my office? Liu Ryan, are you just going to stand there and let her bully me like this?" Tears flowed down his face as he finished speaking. Liu Ryan immediately felt distressed, glancing between him and me. "Jibata, no! Don't do this. If you're angry, take it out on me." I was the one who decided to give her the office. Gu Qing and Shen Xiaomo also frowned, their eyes carrying a hint of reproach towards me. "Jibata, you've caused such a commotion as soon as you returned. This isn't good." Gu Dan is now Xiaoyan's secretary, and this office is closest to her, which makes it convenient for them to work together. "Why don't you come with me to the 17th floor? Gu Jing walked over to pull me, but I shook off her hand, raising my eyebrow slightly. Since when does a mere secretary in our group, get to occupy such a large office? Why doesn't Secretary Chin receive such treatment? Secretary Chin is the chief secretary of the CEO's office, and he can only work in a small cubicle. The three of them had different expressions, a mix of awkwardness and dissatisfaction. Finally, Liu Ryan was somewhat annoyed. "Jibata, you win. It's just an office, right? No need to be so serious about it." After saying that, she gathered some documents from the desk, pulled Gu Dan up, and said, "Let's go. This place originally belonged to Jibata anyway." Gu Dan's tears flowed even more fiercely. Gu Dan stubbornly looked at Liu Ryan. She broke free from her hand, and with an accusatory tone asked her, "She's back. So you don't meet me anymore, do you?" "Liu Ryan, I hate you." After saying that, she ran away. Liu Ryan frantically chased after her, only to see me leaning against the wall, playing with the ring on my middle finger. She came to a hesitant stop, wanting to chase but not daring to. I took off the ring. Quite easily, I've lost quite a bit of weight this year. The ring no longer fit, and neither did the person. Smiling, I handed the ring back to her. She finally showed a hint of panic on her face. She didn't accept it and said, "Bada, I can explain." I shook my head, made a dismissive gesture towards her, and put the ring into her bag. No explanation is needed between colleagues. After saying that, I turned and instructed the construction team leader, "Tear everything down, clean up the trash. Finish it today, and I'll pay double. Don't affect Liu Nian's work." I finished speaking and walked away with a smile, heading towards the elevator. Liu Ryan chased and blocked my way. "Bada, where are you going?" I pointed upstairs. "To find Yan Fugui." Liu Ryan's eyes flickered with a moment of panic. In a tone filled with guilt, she said, "Bada, I'm sorry, Fugui was stolen. It was all my negligence. Anyway, you're awake now. You can surely create another AI intelligent dog." I looked at her with a half smile and asked, "Stolen? Did you call the police?" Liu Ryan instinctively lied. Yes, but there's been no result. I asked her, besides Fugui, was there anything else taken? Liu Ryan's lips pressed together. Some other things were lost too, she said, but none of them were important. The thief must have been targeting Fugui. I pretended to have a sudden realization. It seems it was our competitor then. I sighed. Perhaps it was my sudden misfortune. I've been in a coma for so long. Otherwise, Fugui should have already passed the review and gone online, right? My words wrapped Liu Ryan in guilt again. She lowered her head, looking dejected. The system was babbling again. Life is full of surprises, it said. It's already 6:07. I wasn't surprised. My misfortune was brought about by her. Yet she betrayed me while I was in a coma. Guilt might awaken her dormant feelings. But all I felt was disgust. A woman's cheap feelings aren't worth a glance. Shen Xiaomo, always the sharp one, quickly stepped in to ease the situation. Jibata, you're back. This is a great thing. We must celebrate properly. Tonight at Sophia's, we'll throw a welcome party for you. Sophia's was the club we used to frequent. I heard that Liu Ryan met that scumbag at the bar on the first floor. Interesting. I agreed with a smile. Sure, see you tonight. But for now, I still need to go to the lab for a bit. With that, I walked into the elevator, ignoring Liu Ryan's expression. The moment the elevator doors closed, she reached out as if trying to grasp something. In my mind, the system chimed in, "Congratulations, host. The heroine's love value has reached 80, a level none of the other strategists have ever reached." I sneered. Well, isn't she quite fickle? That evening, Liu Ryan reserved Sophia's entirely. All the mid to high-level managers and board members of Starfish Tech were invited to attend. After all, my return as the founder and head of the R&D department meant something extraordinary for the group. However, I noticed that there weren't many who were genuinely happy for me. Not that I was surprised. If I had died, the 25% of shares I held would have been quickly divided among them. The only thing that caught my interest was Gu Dan sitting in the corner. In the past, at such events, she would certainly be by Liu Ryan's side, enjoying the envious looks from others. But today, she could only hide in the corner, sipping her wine, occasionally glancing at Liu Ryan and Gu Qing, as if she had suffered some great grievance. Even Gu Qing, the straightforward one, didn't dare to stand up for her in this setting. After all, today's main character was me. I drank a few glasses of wine, and when someone came over to toast, Liu Ryan immediately intervened. She has just recovered from a serious illness. She can't drink too much. I'll drink on her behalf. Then Gu Qing and Shen Xiaomo teased her for shielding me from drinking. I neither refused nor thanked them, just watched them with a smile as they put on their show. Someone shouted, asking Liu Ryan to give a speech on behalf of the group, to welcome me back. She held her glass and walked to the center of the stage, raising it, looking at me with deep emotion. Jibata, I'm really glad you're back. I feel like I'm dreaming tonight. Before she could finish her words, a scream came from the corner. It was Gu Dan, who seemed to have gone mad, rolling on the ground. She clutched her head, screaming like a donkey that had been stabbed. Everyone's eyes focused on her. She was desperately scratching her head, almost tearing her scalp apart. Liu Ryan dropped the microphone and rushed over. Gu Dan, what's wrong with you? Gu Dan cried out in pain. It hurts so much. Xiaoyan, save me. She grabbed Liu Ryan's arm. In unbearable agony, Liu Ryan's eyes widened. As if realizing something, she turned back to look at me. I just watched coldly, saying nothing. Is it the chip implanted last time that's causing problems? Wei-Ming put down his wine glass and came over to ask. He was currently the acting head of the AI project. What? Someone unaware of the situation asked curiously. Wei-Ming glanced at Liu Ryan, then looked at me, unsure if he should speak. Gu Dan lay in Liu Ryan's arms, crying her heart out. Xiaoyan, it hurts so much. My head hurts. It's been half a year since the chip was implanted, and there's never been an error before. Could someone be deliberately harming me? She turned to look at me, her meaning obvious. Liu Ryan also looked at me, her gaze as sharp as a knife. Bada, why did you do this? If you have any grievances, take them out on me. Why harm Gu Dan so viciously? If anything happens to Gu Dan, this would be premeditated murder. Such sharp words. Premeditated murder. All eyes in the room turned to me. I seem to have become the malicious male character in their eyes. Driven mad by love, willing to harm my rival at all costs. How ironic! Gu Dan cried until her voice was hoarse. Didn't you tell me Fugui the dog was stolen? I asked her with a cold smile. I only activated the anti-theft mode, I replied. Honestly, I was quite puzzled. Does it really hurt that much? The anti-theft mode only repeatedly plays brainwashing music in the mind. It's just a bit noisy, that's all, just noisy. So who is she putting on this act for? The answer is obvious. Hearing my words, Liu Ryan instantly lost her words, and her gaze at me became flickering. I didn't steal it. Xiaoyan gave it to me. She can testify. Those who knew about my relationship with Liu Ryan looked at me with sympathy. Finally, someone stepped in to intervene. Liu Ryan, don't you think you should explain? Why does Secretary Gu have the chip from Fugui the dog? The project is still in a confidential phase. How can non-project team members have access and use it? The speaker was one of Starfish's investors. Also the second largest shareholder, Chen He. Facing the high-level executive's doubts, Liu Ryan's eyes turned to me, with a hint of pleading. Bada, can you please save her first? I had seen enough of this drama. I walked over to Gu Dan, gesturing for her to let me handle it. While working, I began to explain. Chen He, Fugui the dog. I mistakenly thought he was stolen, so I just modified the program a bit, hoping to make the thief surrender. Unexpectedly, I accidentally hurt Mr. Gu. Liu Ryan, lying is not a good habit. And the anti-theft mode isn't that extreme. It only plays a song on a loop in the head. See, just like this. I opened the program interface for the anti-theft mode and clicked play. Immediately, the classic Catch the Thief song blared out. Everyone immediately understood. It was obvious that Gu Dan was deliberately causing trouble. So, Liu Ryan, why was Fugui the dog's chip implanted in Secretary Gu? Chen He once again raised the critical question, like a loud slap, landing squarely on Liu Ryan's face. She looked a bit embarrassed. Serves her right. I thought with Schadenfreude, but she didn't answer. And the crowd's attention turned back to me. I smiled, trying to smooth things over. Liu Ryan, just to make someone smile, isn't a big deal in itself. But you also have to consider that person's safety. Fugui the dog is still in the development stage. Its various functions are far from perfect. If something were to happen, the consequences would be more than just Mr. Gu's health. The group's reputation and interests would suffer irreparable damage. As the CEO, wasn't Liu Ryan a bit too reckless? Liu Ryan's expression showed a hint of panic. especially under the reproachful gaze of several board members, making her feel deeply ashamed. Gu Dan choked back tears as she defended herself. It's my fault. It's all my fault. I know you dislike me. But don't undermine Xiaoyan just because of personal feelings. She has been devoted to the group, working tirelessly until late at night. Her body is on the verge of collapsing. Do you know how hard she works? Liu Ryan was nearly moved to tears by what she heard. I was only trying to help her. I volunteered to have the chip implanted. I willingly participated in the research project. Is that so wrong? She put on such a righteous and dignified front that even I almost believed her. Did you sign an agreement? I asked. To join the research project team, it's mandatory to sign a waiver agreement. I was supposed to sign it, Gu Dan insisted, but then she continued weakly. But Xiaoyan said there was no need. Her confidence waned, yet she continued to argue stubbornly. Chen Yi spoke up again. What you did was seriously lacking in consideration. Moreover, the project hasn't reached the human testing phase. Where do you place the interests of the group? Liu Ryan could only bow her head and apologize. I'm sorry, it was my responsibility. I will give an explanation at the next board meeting. Gu Dan still wanted to say something, but Liu Ryan stopped her. Mr. Gu was the one who took a liking to Fugui the dog. He insisted on taking it home. At the time, he only said it was for a couple of days, but then she secretly had someone implant the chip into her brain. By the time we discovered it, it was too late. Considering her health, we didn't forcibly remove the chip. Wei Ming couldn't hold back any longer, finally voicing all the dissatisfaction he had been holding in. I was strongly opposed to it back then, but Liu Ryan covered for Gu Dan and acted recklessly. Xiaoyan, I feel so dizzy. Gu Dan's fainting came at just the right moment, avoiding tonight's judgment. Liu Ryan took the opportunity to use the excuse of sending her to the hospital to escape from the scene. But one can only escape for a moment, not forever. The executives and shareholders all demanded a board meeting, insisting that Liu Ryan take full responsibility. After the banquet ended, rumors began to spread within the group, becoming increasingly exaggerated. Some even claimed Liu Ryan had long since shifted her affections, all for that replacement, trying to get rid of me, the rightful owner. Liu Ryan privately handed over the company's critical research project, Fugui the dog, as a toy to Gu Dan, causing a lot of controversy. Even the board and investors expressed significant dissatisfaction with Liu Ryan. Several board members have contacted me privately, suggesting an early board meeting to dismiss Liu Ryan and replace her with me as the executive CEO. I didn't agree immediately. I only said I'd think about it. Then, citing health issues, I applied for a vacation. I took the experimental data and Fugui the dog back home to continue my research work. Liu Ryan, Gu Qing, and Shen Xiaomo took turns trying to visit me, but my hired bodyguards kept them at the door. The system was going mad with anxiety. If you don't see her, how will you win her over? The favorability level has dropped. Now it's below 50%. There are less than 6 months left until the final storyline. You'll die if you don't do something. I kept typing code while sipping coffee, busy yet relaxed. Don't worry, I said. You failed 65 times already. One more won't make a difference. The system nearly burst into tears. If you fail again, I'll be erased by the main system. Do me a favor. Put in some effort. I glanced at the white light orb. So you can die too, huh? Then stop nagging. Given your level, It's hard for me to explain the advanced operations. Just watch quietly. And let your brother take you flying. Just as I finished speaking, my phone vibrated. My assistant sent me some new gossip. Gudan doesn't even dare to come to the company. She doesn't even have a bachelor's degree. She was just a bar singer, relying on Liu Ryan to strut around the company arrogantly, offending quite a few people. Now that the tide has turned against her, everyone is cursing her for being shameless, using backdoor means to climb up. Liu Ryan is also in a sorry state, and people are calling her a scumbag woman behind her back. G9, when are you coming back? I looked at the phone screen and smiled faintly. So, Gudan isn't that well-liked after all. In the first dozens of scenarios, she was practically a darling at Starfish Tech. Apart from the female lead and supporting actresses, everyone in the company, even the janitors, spoke highly of her. In contrast, the strategists had to maintain a cold persona, always arrogant and hostile towards Gudan, causing their reputation to worsen. They refused to even engage with Gudan, let alone chase after Liu Ryan. People instead thought I was heartbroken and retreating after being rejected by Liu Ryan, earning me quite a bit of sympathy. But unfortunately, I don't need sympathy. What I need is a skyrocketing career. Love from women? Can that be Eden? Just then, the doorbell rang. The bodyguard went to check. He returned and reported, G9. It's Sue Weirin from the R&D department. I frowned slightly. In the dozens of scenarios so far, the strategist had never interacted with Weirin. I almost forgot about her. She was a university student I once sponsored, who, after graduating with a master's degree, joined the R&D department at Starfish Tech. She is very diligent, hardworking, and her technical skills have improved rapidly. I even plan to promote her to the Fugui Dog project, but my injury and hospitalization delayed that. Let her in, I said. When the door opened, it wasn't just Sue Weirin standing there, but also Liu Ryan and Shen Xiaomo. The two of them stood on either side like door guards. Weirin adjusted her glasses. Xiaoli smiled at me. G9, are you really alright now? I've been on business trips lately and didn't know you were already discharged. Sorry for coming to see you only now. She was carrying a bag of fruits and health supplements, looking simple and sincere. I let her in, but didn't spare even a glance at the other two. Still, they thickened their faces and followed in. Sit down, Weirin. What would you like to drink? She waved her hand nervously. No, I'm fine. I took a bottle of drink from the fridge and handed it to her. Liu Ryan, seeing that I kept ignoring her, couldn't stand it anymore. In a very aggrieved tone, she asked, Jibata, can't you give me a chance to explain? I really didn't mean to deceive you. The system suddenly exclaimed. Oh my, why is it increasing so fast? Before coming in, her love level was still only at 45, and now it soared to 88. Host, quickly! Say you forgive her and seize the opportunity. As long as she proposes to you and the wedding is completed, your mission will be accomplished. I ignored the system, sat down quietly, and looked at her. Liu Ryan was flustered under my gaze. If it wasn't intentional, then it was deliberate? I asked with a smile. Liu Ryan quickly said, no, I had my reasons. After Gudan and I got together, we were attacked once, almost losing our lives. I was really scared, afraid the same thing. What happened to her STU? Just implant the chip in its body, hoping the rich dog can protect her closely. The rich dog comes with a built-in defense system. It can save lives in critical moments. Shen Xiaomo also vouched for Liu Ryan, yawning. She lazily drove back to Liu's office. I could understand her. The rich dog is not only smart, but also looks very cute. It's an excellent choice as a pet too. I smiled faintly. It's no big deal. If she had been honest from the beginning, I wouldn't have even been angry. But she lied to me. That I cannot forgive. Panic filled Liu Ryan's eyes. She seemed to realize I was utterly disappointed in her. Otherwise, she wouldn't be saying these things so casually. Her eyes seemed to glisten with tears. Her voice slightly choked. She asked Jibata, "What do I have to do to make you forgive me? My feelings for Guden are not what you think. I just missed you too much." I raised my hand to cut her off. Your private feelings need not be explained to me, Liu. After all, we are just colleagues. How could she easily forget what she had said herself? But looking at her, the full expression as if she had been stabbed brought a strange satisfaction to my heart. Shen Xiaomo looked at us both anxiously. She had hinted at Liu Ryan several times with her eyes, but it seemed Liu Ryan hadn't clearly stated her true intentions. Shen Xiaomo finally couldn't hold back, chuckled twice, and said, "Jibata, we have one more thing to ask of you. Here comes the important part." I crossed my legs and leaned back on the sofa, waiting for her. Shen Xiaomo, caught by my knowing gaze, looked a bit embarrassed, scratched her head, and braced herself to say, "Jibata, could you return Fugui the dog to Gudan?" Over the past year, she has spent day and night with Fugui the dog, and has developed feelings for it. You suddenly took Fugui the dog away. She couldn't handle it, and her depression relapsed. I looked over at Liu Ryan. She was also looking at me, with a slightly guilty expression. "Jibata, I know Fugui the dog is your brainchild. And it's a matter of life and death. You've always believed that technology should be people-centered. Now, Gudan really needs Fugui to heal. I'm sure you wouldn't refuse." I nodded thoughtfully. Just as they were about to breathe a sigh of relief, I smiled and said, "Sure. 50 billion and it's yours." Shen Xiaomo and Liu Ryan both looked utterly shocked, their eyes wide open. 50 billion? I blinked a few times. Is that too expensive? The group's R&D investment has already exceeded 30 billion. And when it goes public next year, Starfish Tech stock could increase by 10 points. In fact, the returns I'd receive would be far more than 50 billion. But since we've known each other for so many years, I'm giving you a discount. So how would you like to pay? Check or bank transfer? Of course, I knew she couldn't just pull out 50 billion like that. Starfish Tech has a market value in the hundreds of billions. She holds 20% of the shares, making her worth over 100 billion. But cash reserves aren't that high. But I'm just asking you to give her Fugui the dog, not transfer the technology rights. If you don't want to give it, then don't. Why say such things? Liu Ryan was furious. Jibata, I never expected you to become so money hungry. So ruthless and cold-blooded. You're no longer the Jibata I once knew. She stood up angrily. Just pretend I never came. I laughed. I've always pretended you never came. Liu Ryan's face turned instantly green. Shen Xiaomo quickly stepped in to mediate. Jibata, let's talk things out calmly. No need to get angry. You've known Xiaoyan for so many years. Xiaoyan has agreed to end things with Gudan, but you have to give her some time to handle it. She has been there for her during the toughest times. If it weren't for Gudan, when you first had your accident, she might not have made it through. I listened to this and couldn't help but laugh. So should I thank Gudan for taking care of my woman? Liu Ryan and Shen Xiaomo's faces both froze. Jibata, you speak too harshly, Shen Xiaomo said with dissatisfaction. I looked at them with a mix of disdain and contempt in my reply. Harsh is just right. You deserve it. Shen Xiaomo's lips trembled with anger. Jibata, you really will end up without friends this way. I quickly took a step back, waving them away. Friends like you, no thanks. Behind my back, you casually give my research results to others. What if confidential information gets leaked? Who will be responsible for the group's tens of billions in investments going down the drain? See them out. As Liu Ryan and Shen Xiaomo left, their faces were as dark as soot from the bottom of a pot. Liu Ryan even left with a harsh threat. Jibata, if anything happens to Gudan, I will never forgive you. I chuckled. Who won't forgive whom? The system wailed in my ear. Host, the heroine's love level for you has almost dropped to 0. Why are you doing this? If the strategy fails, we're both doomed. I beg you, please fix this quickly. I wasn't worried at all. What's the rush? There's still some time before the plot ends. I know what I'm doing. But system, I always feel like you're lying to me. At that moment, Su Weiren timidly raised her hand, reminding me of her presence. I almost forgot she was there. Sorry, Zissou, for making you witness this mess. Just some senior executives arguing. Su Weiren didn't dare to make a sound. But now that those two had left, she finally found the courage to speak. Jibata, I've always been on your side. I would like to apply to join the Fugui Dog project. Is that alright? Her eyes were filled with hopeful anticipation. If it were the old me, I would have agreed immediately. But not now, because I know she, too, would betray me. Choosing to side with Gudan, but I couldn't outright reject her. Or Liu Ryan and the others might come up with other ways to steal my Fugui Dog project. Of course you can, I said. I'll send you some materials shortly. Familiarize yourself with them first. Su Weiren was overjoyed, bowing repeatedly to thank me. Jibata, thank you. I will work hard and not let you down. I dismissed her, sending her on her way. Then I turned around and sent her a set of fake materials. Just after I finished, I received a friend request. The note read, "It's Gudan." I immediately accepted it, curious to see what she had planned. She sent me many photos of her with Liu Ryan, including some of them sleeping together. Then, in a passive-aggressive tone, she messaged, Jibata, you've been with her for so many years, yet you couldn't spark any desire in her. You're like a block of wood. But I'm different. When she just hugs me, she can't control herself. Do you really think just because you're back, you can take Xiaoyan away from me? She even added a smiley emoji at the end, full of provocation. I calmly replied, I don't have the habit of picking up trash. Only a garbage bin would be proud of being filled with trash. Without waiting for her response, I immediately blocked and deleted her. When dealing with people, you must do it this way. Leave them fuming with nowhere to vent. After putting down the phone, I got back to work seriously. A year in a coma had delayed too much. I needed to work overtime to catch up. The system muttered, and even it seemed tired of nagging me. It eventually gave up and ignored me. In the middle of the night, my phone rang, waking me up. I grudgingly answered. Liu Ryan's furious voice came through. Jibata. What exactly did you say to Gu Dan? Why are you so malicious? If you have a problem, come at me. Why target Gu Dan? I was stunned for 3 seconds before asking, why are you barking at me? Liu Ryan, enraged by my response, gritted her teeth and said, Gu Dan slit her wrists. She was rushed to the hospital in the middle of the night. If I had found out a bit later ... I interrupted, if you had out a bit later. Her wounds would have already healed. The same old trick. I wasn't surprised at all. But Liu Ryan, this fool, didn't realize it when she heard what I said. She got so angry that it seemed like she was about to explode. Jibata, I never thought you could be so malicious. Fine, if you can't tolerate Gu Dan, then I won't tolerate you either. I will marry her. And you will lose me forever. And more than that, if you dare hurt Gu Dan again, I'll make you pay dearly. I scratched my ear and nonchalantly asked, are you done? Liu Ryan snorted, it's too late for you to say anything now. I still had a bit of ... well, something for you. It's all gone. I yawned. If you're sick, go get treated. Calling a male colleague in the middle of the night and acting crazy. I could call the police and report you for harassment. With that, I hung up the phone and blocked her number as well, disturbing my peaceful sleep. Utterly unforgivable. The system sighed deeply. The love level has dropped to 0. If this continues, it will turn negative. Host, you've turned a great hand into a mess. Forget it, I'm dead anyway. Do whatever you want. The system completely shut down. Playing dead, I couldn't be bothered with it, and continued sleeping. Then I was woken up again. This time, it was my assistant calling. I glanced at the time. It was already 10 a.m. I held back my annoyance and got up, asking her, you'd better have a reason. The assistant, knowing my temperament, quickly said, Jibata, open your Weibo right now. You're trending. Still groggy, I opened Weibo and took a look at the top trending topic. Breaking news, male executive of Starfish Tech caught in a love triangle, driving the legitimate girlfriend to suicide. The news spread like wildfire, with plenty of other headlines as well. Hashtags like hashtag Starfish Tech plant clearance were trending. I clicked to take a look. The first post was from Liu Ryan's personal account, stating no cheating involved, just a misunderstanding. The proposal has already succeeded, hoping for everyone's blessing. It was all about Gu Dan. The comments below were filled with well wishes, and a lot of insults directed at me. This guy Jibata is so disgusting. Can't win the girl, so he spreads rumors. Almost broke them apart. Truly malicious. A villain brought to life. Think being rich is everything? If the rightful person dies because of him, he should be in jail too. Gu Dan is too kind, only hurting herself when bullied. If it were me, I would have gone to beat this man up. Hoping Starfish Tech will fire Jibata soon. Jibata, get out of Starfish Tech. The hashtag about me and Starfish Tech climbed to the top of the trending list. Then a call from Chen He came in. G9, you finally answered. Did you see Weibo? I grunted in response. Chen He asked, what's going on? What's this mess between you and Liu Ryan? I'm not interested in your personal issues, but this concerns the company's reputation. I want to get to the bottom of this. I assured him, don't worry. I'll definitely handle it by the end of today. It won't affect the company's interests. Hearing this, Chen He finally relaxed. Gee, I trust you, just like when I first invested in Starfish Tech. It's also because of you. I hope you handle this matter properly. I'm looking forward to your official return. It was clear to me, Chen-He was very upset about this situation. She knew about the relationship between Liu Ryan and me. I reassured Chen-He a few times, promising to resolve my conflict with Liu Ryan quickly, and then formally convene a board meeting. Liu Ryan thinks that, as a CEO, she can do whatever she wants, but she needs to know that I am the largest shareholder of Starfish Tech, and I have Chen-He's support. She should get out. Liu Ryan, Gu Dan, you've messed with the wrong person. I had my assistant call Liu Ryan, giving her only 10 minutes to clear my name or face the consequences. I know Liu Ryan's temper. She definitely wouldn't agree. Sure enough, my assistant quickly called me back. Ms. Liu said she wants to teach you a lesson. If you apologize to Gu Dan, she will speak up for you. I asked my assistant, did you record your conversation with Liu? Yes, my assistant replied. Do you want me to send it to you? No need for now. Wait for my instructions. I hung up and immediately dialed another number. Release all the information I asked you to collect, following the order I gave you. Don't release it all at once. Do it gradually, keep it interesting. I hung up the phone and continued to focus on my work. Nothing would affect my passion and concentration for work. But soon enough, Liu Ryan showed up at my door because I had my phone on silent, and she couldn't reach me. She was kicking my door like a madwoman. The bodyguard came over and asked if I wanted to call the police. No need, let her in. I calmly left my office and sat down in the living room, waiting for her. Liu Ryan stormed in with bloodshot eyes, looking like she was ready to eat someone alive. She rushed in, filled with anger. Jibata, you're so despicable. The stuff online was all released by you, wasn't it? How could you dare? The bodyguard stood nervously by my side, afraid she might go crazy and commit murder. But I remained calm and composed, taking a sip of my freshly brewed coffee, before slowly replying. So you're allowed to spread rumors, but I'm not allowed to clarify? Does that make sense, Liu Ryan? Yes, I released the information, but it's all true. I didn't lie, did I? Her face was dark and cloudy, her eyes glaring at me with hatred. Destroying me, what good does it do for you? But she has already tried to kill herself once. Do you have to push her to death? I retorted. You guys spread rumors online, saying I interfered in your relationship, driving her to suicide. What does that mean? Weren't you trying to ruin me too? I'm just using your own methods against you. Why are you so upset now? Didn't clarify the fact that Liu Ryan and I were once engaged. I only released the truth about how I took a deadly blow for Liu Ryan and ended up in a coma in the hospital. Then I released a video of the night she met Gu Dan, where they were fooling around in the bar's restroom, as well as footage of Gu Dan sneaking into my hospital room, uttering nasty words at my unconscious body. The surveillance footage of her cursing me to die sooner. Who is the mistress? Who is the scum? It's all now. The online narrative had completely flipped, and the trending topics were all about me, Liu Ryan, and Gu Dan. But I had only released 3 pieces of information. I haven't even released the juiciest stuff yet, and she's already this desperate. Jibata, I'll give you one more chance. Come out and clarify. Say those videos are fake. Liu Ryan was still living in her fantasy, thinking of herself as some kind of domineering female CEO. But I'm not some brainless NPC from a novel. Liu Ryan, it's not even dark yet. And you're already dreaming. I warned you before I released the information. Now, who's the one learning a lesson? Liu Ryan's fists clenched so tightly they made a creaking sound. I bet she'd want nothing more than to kill me right now. But with my two 1.9-meter bodyguards here, if she dared to make a move, it certainly wouldn't be me on the losing end. Gee, Bada, no wonder your dad divorced your mom. Nobody would want you. A cold-blooded, selfish, ruthless man. You deserve to be alone for the rest of your life. I will still marry Gu Dan as planned. Let's see who regrets it in the end. She sneered at me, as if hoping to see a look of despair on my face. But she was disappointed. Indeed, my parents divorced, and in court, they treated me like a hot potato, passing me back and forth, neither wanting custody of me. This has always been a deep wound in my heart. Liu Ryan certainly knows how to hit where it hurts. But I'm no longer that 8-year-old child. Liu Ryan, you're quite something. But even if I have to grow old alone, I would never marry someone like you. I wish you and your whore of a partner a long and lasting life together. I picked up my coffee and stood up. I saw a flicker of fear in Liu Ryan's eyes. But it was just for a fleeting moment. At next week's board meeting, I won't hold back. She left that threat and stormed out. She began to buy a massive number of bots to delete posts, trying to bury the comments from netizens cursing her and Gu Dan. But as soon as she started, the netizens who had initially defended her felt deceived, and their anger bounced back twice as strong. The more posts she deleted, the more insults poured in, louder and harsher. Bots are no match for the power of the netizens. In the end, all the money she spent was in vain. Some of the bots even turned around and sent messages to me, offering to take my money to curse the scumbag woman and the green tea man. Meanwhile, another trending topic quietly rose to the top. #Hoiskazakai. I had noticed this trending topic at first, but didn't pay much attention. Now that it was at the top, I curiously clicked on it. Even I didn't expect the content to be this explosive. Netizens had uncovered Gu Dan's hidden identity. Her real name is Gu Zhaokai. Born into a rural family, she dropped out of school before finishing middle school and started working at the age of 16. She applied for a job as a waiter at a club. On the surface, she was a waiter. But in reality, she was a hostess. She had affairs with more than one married man. And once she met her match, she was beaten up by the legitimate wife, even had her nose broken. Then she went for plastic surgery, and it was even done on loan. Netizens pulled out her before and after surgery photos, doing a detailed comparison, affirming it was the same person. Her original appearance didn't look like mine at all, but after the surgery, there was some resemblance. This revelation completely exploded the online comments. So the CEO of Starfish Tech has such low taste. She must have deliberately had surgery to look like this, right? Otherwise, how could she ever be Jihee's stand-in? Someone like this as Jihee's stand-in? I feel sorry for Jihee. Come on, stop cursing everyone. Actually, Mr. Gu is a nice person. She offered herself as a sacrifice for Jihee to expose the reason behind the scumbag woman and to make the world more beautiful. That's why she changed her name to Gu Dan. I almost burst out laughing after reading a few comments. Netizens do have their moments of wit. I wondered how Liu Ryan would feel seeing all this. But I still overestimated Liu Ryan's sanity. She actually went crazy online, claiming that netizens were spreading rumors, threatening to send lawyers' letters to those who exposed her. She even said Gu Dan was the best man she had ever met, and that she would definitely marry him. Netizens quickly sent their blessings. If it were me, I would dump them both. Look at these two clowns. A perfect match of fools. And they've ruined yet another idiom today. Liu Ryan herself went on the offensive, responding to netizens, and kept posting about how much she loved Gu Dan, how wonderful and outstanding Gu Dan was, claiming she had never liked me, and that she only ever pitied me for being a fatherless child, or a pitiful creature without a mother. She added, but she was just one person. How could she possibly fight against millions of netizens? She was soon overwhelmed and shut down, directly disabling her comments section. But the netizens didn't let her off. They started creating all kinds of parody videos and jokes to mock her and Gu Dan. You could say that overnight, she and Gu Dan became the hottest people on the internet. There were even matching products of the two being sold on Taobao. Like a black pig hugging the head of a white bream. Which online, it was a new term coined by netizens, Julian by he, mocking Liu Ryan as the white pig, and Gu Dan as the black-faced one. Then Chen He called me Jibata. I've contacted the other board members. The board meeting has been moved up to tomorrow at 9 a.m. You must attend on time. It seemed the situation had spiraled out of control, and the board couldn't sit still any longer. Starfish Tech stock had dropped significantly. The next day, I arrived at the company right on time. As soon as I stepped out, I was surrounded by reporters and media. They all demanded that I say a few words. I took a microphone and said, "Sorry. I'm in a hurry. There's a group meeting today. After the meeting, there will be a press conference, and we will give you an explanation." After saying that, I entered the company with the bodyguards escorting me. To my surprise, as soon as I entered the elevator, I ran into Liu Ryan and Gu Dan, both in full disguise. They rushed in furtively, clearly afraid of being spotted by the reporters outside. Seeing me, both of them froze for a moment. Gu Dan took off her mask, her eyes red, and started speaking in her usual provocative tone again. "Jibata, I'm begging you. No matter what you do to me, it doesn't matter. But what you're doing now will bring great harm to Xiaoyan and the company. I hope you can see the bigger picture. Come forward and clarify sooner rather than later. You don't want to destroy Starfish Tech with your own hands, do you?" As she spoke, she looked pitifully at Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan, in a very confident tone, said, "Don't waste your words on someone like him. After today, you won't see him at Starfish Tech anymore." I smirked. Just as the elevator arrived, I couldn't be bothered to argue with them. The meeting was about to start, and the real show was about to begin. In the conference room, all the board members were present. Liu Ryan and I each took our seats. Gu Dan tried to come in as well, but was kicked out. After all, she had no company shares. Gu Dan looked at Liu Ryan with a pitiful expression. "Xiaoyan, I'll wait for you outside." Liu Ryan hugged her in front of everyone and said with deep affection, "Next time, there will be a place for you here at the board meeting." It seemed she planned to give Gu Dan a portion of her shares. True love, huh? I couldn't help but chuckle. The entire room turned their strange gazes toward me. Some who didn't know the full story even looked at me with sympathy, while those who knew about Liu Ryan and Gu Dan looked at them with judgment and disdain. Nobody liked a pair of scumbags like them. Liu Ryan completely ignored their looks and sat back down. "We can begin," she said. Chenny shared her views on the recent public controversy. then turned to Liu Ryan and me. Do either of you have anything to say? Liu Ryan emphasized. I stood up before her. Before discussing this matter, I have something to clarify for everyone. She cast her phone screen onto the projector screen. Jibata, for her own selfish gain, has betrayed our company's core secrets. I don't know how everyone feels about this, but as the CEO of Starfish Tech, I cannot tolerate a traitor who bites the hand that feeds them. On behalf of myself, I have decided to expel Jibata from the group, and she is no longer allowed to hold any position. She must fully compensate the group for the losses. The company also reserves the right to take legal action against her. She displayed a document on the screen, claiming I had sent this to a competitor. The data and all research materials of Fugui the dog. The conference room fell completely silent, as if the air had frozen. Everyone's eyes turned to me. Chenyi furrowed her brows, silently questioning me. I looked over at Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan, we've known each other for 20 years. And I even saved your life once. Is this how you repay me? She showed no guilt at all, even speaking in a particularly venomous tone. If it weren't for those two reasons, I would have called the police to arrest you by now. Asking you to leave the group and bear the losses is already a great mercy. I slowly nodded, smiling. Very well. Very good. The documents were sent to you by Suwiren, weren't they? For a moment, there was a flicker of panic, but she quickly regained her composure. I smiled and waved to my assistant. Call Wei Ming in. Wei Ming was just outside the door. Everyone was confused, looking at each other with bewilderment. I turned to Wei Ming and said, Director Wei, Liu says I sold the core secrets of Fugui the dog to a competitor. You've been following this project for over a year. Why don't you explain? Wei Ming glanced at the screen, his expression turning into that of a puzzled old man on the subway. What is this even about? This isn't even the core data of Fugui the dog. Isn't this the material Jibata used as a reverse case study? As soon as he said this, Liu Ryan's eyes nearly popped out of her head. The conference room buzzed with noise. People started asking what was going on. Chenyi knocked on the table and asked Liu Ryan, we need an explanation from you. Liu Ryan shook her head. Impossible. Wei Ming, are you lying for her? Trying to cover for her? Wei Ming adjusted his glasses. Ms. Liu, you can ask anyone from the project team. Anyone with even a bit of sense could see at a glance that these documents are just a pile of junk. Completely worthless, he added angrily, showing his deep disdain for Liu Ryan's accusation. Liu Ryan, still not convinced, found someone she trusted to take a look. The result, of course, was the same. These were not the core secrets of Fugui the dog. Liu Ryan looked at me, gritting her teeth. You did this on purpose. You deliberately gave Suwiren fake documents. I sneered. She's just a newbie who recently joined the R&D department. How could I possibly give her such important documents? Stupidity really is contagious. Liu Ryan, next time, choose a smarter man. I said this with a smirk. It's because I knew this plan was concocted by Gu Dan. Suwiren was persuaded by Gu Dan as well. I stood up, smiling, and said, Ladies and gentlemen, I have something very interesting to show you all. Let's take a look together. I instructed my assistant to project my computer screen. A surveillance video began playing. It showed Gu Dan sneaking into the lab, stealing documents from the safe. but accidentally triggering the alarm. Liu Ryan appeared just in time to help her out of the situation. Then an audio recording played. Xiaoyan, I really didn't want to do this, but they threatened me with a knife. I was so scared. Liu Ryan didn't blame her. Instead, she gently comforted her. Gu Dan, don't be afraid. I'll handle it. It's just some experimental data, isn't it? If you wanted it, you just had to ask me. All eyes turned to Liu Ryan. They recalled the incident 6 months ago, when a product the group was about to launch had its details leaked. If Chenhe hadn't taken timely action, the losses would have been unimaginable. The board members were beyond furious, almost wishing they could tear Liu Ryan apart. Fortunately, everyone remained civilized and held back their anger. I smiled at Liu Ryan. Ms. Liu, you truly are a woman of deep feelings. I have no objection if you want to be a mad woman doting on your lover, but sacrificing the group's and investors' interests to please a man, isn't that a bit much? I continued, just a moment ago, you said you didn't call the police out of kindness. I offer the same advice to you now. Either resign and take responsibility for the losses, or you choose. She shook her head. Still a setup. Bada this. You're framing me. Is it a setup? The evidence doesn't lie. I have nothing to hide. If you think you're innocent, why don't we call the police? Let the police investigate. She started to panic. Bada, do you really want to ruin me? Do you hate me that much? I just made a small mistake. Why are you being so relentless? I said I would marry Gu Dan. It was just to provoke you. To make you back down. Would it kill you to show a bit of softness towards me? Everyone was watching her, as if looking at a spectacle. I smiled bitterly and apologized to everyone. I'll treat everyone to coffee later. Lightening the mood a little. With a gust of laughter breaking the tension, I turned back to Liu Ryan. Why don't you use that confidence to face the reality of 1.4 billion people? Go home and look in the mirror. I, Bada, have everything I need, with plenty of women chasing after me. Why would I be interested in you, a rotten cabbage? After the meeting ended, the board immediately instructed the PR department to hold a press conference. Liu Ryan was kicked out of Starfish Tech, and she had to face a sky-high compensation fee. The moment she stepped out the company's front door, her phone received an email. It contained records of Gu Dan's plastic surgery, a list of the clubs where she had worked, and photos. I heard her scream in a fit of rage. The next time I saw Liu Ryan was 6 months later. She had gone bankrupt due to the company's lawsuit and was looking for a job everywhere. But because of her ruined reputation, she hadn't found a single opportunity. Yet she still came to find me. Bada, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Forgive me, please? Give me another chance, please? I've completely cut ties with that worthless man. It was all because he confused me for a while, making me foolish enough to lose you. Her eyes reddened with genuine emotion. I looked at her disheveled appearance and shook my head slightly. Liu Ryan, if today you could have gone through with marrying Gu Dan despite your mistakes, I might have thought a bit better of you. But you're so disappointing. When you make mistakes, you only blame others. Even a 3-year-old child wouldn't do that. I turned to leave, but she grabbed onto me, choking with sobs, begging, Bada, the one I've always loved is you. It was only because she looked like you that I was bewitched by her. I just loved you too much. But when I realized you knew about me and Gu Dan, I thought you wouldn't want me anymore. That's why I kept making mistakes. Gee, Bada, we've been together for 20 years. Can't you give me one more chance? I pried her hands off me. No, I am destined to hold great wealth and grow old alone. Women will only slow down my path to fortune. With that, I called security to keep her outside my door. Suddenly, the sound of the system's notification rang in my mind. Congratulations, host! Mission accomplished! The heroine's affection value has reached 100. I turned back and glanced at Liu Ryan, who was crying with deep regret. Only to sneer, her love isn't even worth a dog. The white moonlight must always hang high in the night sky, never to fall. I opened the door to my house and saw my grandmother smiling kindly, sitting on the sofa watching TV. Seeing me, she asked, "Back already? Are you hungry?" Grandma made your favorite scallion pancakes. Tears filled my eyes. Great, mission was well done.